Hey everyone, hi, welcome back to the wonderful, beautiful, amazing Murray Bridge Library. I'm Tim, the storyteller, and I'm going to share a special story with you today. This one is called My Daddy is Different, and it's by Suzi Faed and illustrations by Lisa Coutts. Let's have a look. I used to have a daddy who was like all other daddies. One who would go to work and play with me when he was home. Lots and lots of different kinds of daddies there, isn't there? My daddy could make wonderful things using only his hands and his tools and pieces of wood. My daddy had a kind heart and a warm smile, a big beaming smile. But one day, something changed. He still looked like my daddy, he still sounded like my daddy, but there was something different about him. Even Mummy thought so. I could see it in the sad look in her eyes. He started saying strange things, doing strange things. I was confused. His words didn't make sense to me. It was like a grey, foggy cloud had come over him and had taken away his sunshine. It's very sad, isn't it? I became afraid of my daddy and I felt like I didn't know him anymore. My world had changed and suddenly I felt all alone. But sometimes the old daddy would come back to me and I didn't feel so afraid. He would pick me up, swing me onto his shoulders. Up high I felt safe. Up high I could giggle and he galloped. For that little while we forgot about the fog. Some very difficult, very challenging times. Then just like that, the old daddy was gone again. It was like a seesaw. Up, down, but seesaws were supposed to be fun. This wasn't fun. This was confusing. Things didn't get better. Daddy didn't get better. We couldn't help him, so Mummy took him to a place that could. The next time I saw Daddy, he was in the hospital. I wanted to hide, my lips trembled. This yucky feeling made me want to cry. I would have burst, but a kind nurse saw me, her soft voice calming the storm inside my body. She brought me close and gently told me what was happening. It's good that there was somebody who could explain what was going on. My daddy had a mental illness. He was sick inside his head. It jumbled his mind, made him see and think things that weren't real. Medicine would help him feel better, but the illness would never go away. Daddy spent some time in hospital, which meant we always had to visit him. I didn't like the place. It smelt weird. The people there were strange. It made my tummy feel funny. He still wanted to hold my hand though. Wrapping his warm hands around mine, Daddy looked at me and said, "Remember, I still love you. That will never change." But I felt like our love had changed colour. I wished for the brightness again. When Daddy came home, it didn't feel like home anymore. He no longer went to work, and he didn't play with me like before. Even though I knew he had a mental illness, I still didn't understand. I began to feel ashamed. I thought that maybe I would get sick too. I couldn't tell my friends because their daddies were well. What would they think? They might be afraid of me, like I was afraid of my daddy. Now my head was filled with worry, and my world was no longer colourful. You can see all the grey colour around there, can't you? When Daddy felt well, he would work in his shed. One day he came to me, kneeled down and gave me something. A wooden pen. "I made this for you," he said, giving me a warm smile. I looked at him and asked, "I thought you had forgotten how to make things." He shook his head and replied, "Behind this fog, I'm still the same Daddy. This illness doesn't make me different in every way." Slowly the colour of our love was coming back. Not long after that, we had to take Daddy back to the hospital, and I saw a little girl visiting her mummy. The girl had the same worried look in her eyes, but she reached up and hugged her mummy anyway. It was then that I realised maybe there were other kids whose mummy or daddy had a mental illness too. I wasn't alone. And even if my daddy was different in some ways, he was still the same daddy who loved and cared for me. His heart was still kind, and his hands could still create. So there are lots and lots of things that were still the same. For the first time in a long time, I reached up and hugged him. He hugged me back, and it didn't feel so strange after all. The end. So a very special story, all about a difficult time in a child's life. But I hope that you enjoyed the story, and I hope that you come down and visit the Murray Bridge Library and see all the wonderful, amazing, beautiful and entertaining stories that we have that you can read and share. Hope to see you soon. Bye for now.